we're coming down to the end of our lessons, and we're getting excited. And hopefully, through this journey, through the covenant story, through the covenants of promise, we've seen this progressive, interrelated but progressive story. We've seen the nature and the characteristics of covenant relationship. We've seen God's love and how he calls us to love. And we've seen the importance of holiness and justice. But we've also seen just failure again and again. And it's interesting that the law even foresaw its own failure. Deuteronomy 30 is actually a prophetic chapter where Moses is saying, you're going to receive the blessings of this covenant for a while, but then you're going to go into exile. But I'm going to bring you back, and I'm going to circumcise your heart. He had told them earlier that circumcise your hearts. Your hearts are hard. You don't love me, and therefore you don't obey me. Circumcise your hearts. But by the time we get to Deuteronomy 30, Moses is foreseeing the failure of the Mosaic covenant and a time beyond the exile when God is going to circumcise the heart. Rather than what man doing and obeying, we're going to see God doing and obeying in such a way that transforms God's people. And this is what we see in Psalms and the prophets is there's a new covenant coming. God's going to do something that is, we might say, as the next quarterly is called, it's the climax of the covenant. The covenant story is leading to a climax, and that climax is Jesus. But the prophets were already foreseeing it. Of course, Jeremiah 31 famously talks about the days are coming where I'm going to make a new covenant. Ezekiel adds to this. Ezekiel talks about this same time, and it's going to be a giving of the Spirit. Isaiah talks about the coming of Messiah and the inclusion of the Gentiles into God's people. And it's interesting that all of these writers, prophets, talk about a central theme that's going to be important for us as we go into the next lessons. And that theme is that God is going to do something to affect the obedience that he's always wanted, the holiness. Be holy as I'm holy. Love me as I love you. This has been a theme throughout the moral law, if you will. And the ceremonial law that pointed towards this forgiveness, this great forgiveness and this great redemption, but didn't quite accomplish it. And a justice that would defeat sin once and for all, punish it. And all this is coming to a head now in a new covenant that Jesus is going to inaugurate in himself. Jesus is that covenant. But what the prophets tell us, and what we're going to look at here with the new covenant prophets of lesson 12, is this idea that they're coming at it from a little bit different angles, where Ezekiel will talk about the Spirit, and Jeremiah talking about a new covenant. They're all talking about God writing his laws on his people's heart. And that's so important, because that moral vision that God has wanted a holy people, that God's wanted a people that loves him and each other. That theme of the Mosaic law is going to carry right into the new covenant, but it's going to come about through Jesus. Jesus is the one that's going to not just model that love, but he is literally the embodiment of that love that does everything that the covenants have wanted to do all along. And so it's starting to get excited, and I'm hoping that the classes are getting excited as they see this story progressing. And we're right here on the cusp that, in this context of exile and return, the prophets are seeing God is still at work. God is going to do something big, and a new covenant is coming. And so that's where we're headed.